Okay, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and take all these elements that we have already created that represent this panel right here, and I'm going to make a copy of it and go ahead and invert and change some of the stuff to make this panel up here. Mainly that little visor scopy thing that's on top that's kind of a little bit raised. So let's go ahead and take all these groups where I have all those details, create duplicate versions of them. Cool, sounds good. And then we're going to go ahead and change these to red, all of them, so we can kind of have a distinction. So now that we have them selected, and hold shift and move it all at the same time so we can have a little different surface to work with. So the main area we're going to focus is this area right here to give the appearance of having the surface be raised. So what are we going to do when it comes to that? Let's see. We are going to go to, that's not it. That one, that's going to be the one we're going to be working with. Click. So what are we going to change first? First and foremost, the highlight. That is going to go. And so is the dark because this is a different kind of surface. Get rid of those. Trash. Oop. There we go. Yes, I want to get rid of those. What's the next part? Red. Like the color. Highlight. You know, for now, let's go ahead and delete this mask. Control I, because we're going to do something a little bit different because it's going to be a slightly different effect. So what's this? Inner drop shadow. We don't need that anymore because that's if the item, this piece of detail was indenting and concave. So delete that. Click. This inner. This one we're going to use because now with this one we're going to use to increase the overall width of this in terms as an object. So you'll see what I mean. So I'll click on the effect. I'll go to the interglow and I'll go and raise the size of it. As you can see now, it's a little bit more gradual. So it looks like the shadow is coming upwards, up towards the raised surface. So we want to make that a little bit slightly bit darker. So we're going to go ahead and create a new layer. This one is inner dark 1. That's that one. And this one is inner dark 2. Cool. Now that we have inner dark 2, again, take that to multiply. Do I want to? Yes, I want to make it multiply. So then I'm going to go and create white. Get my selection again by holding control on one of the layers or mask. And then fill it in. And then now again, I'm going to use the inner glow again. As you can see, it has that effect. I need it to be more gradual, so I'm going to take the size. I'm going to lessen that about midway. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn it up to be a slightly bit darker. So as you can see, now we have that sort of raised look. So what else could we do this to make it, give it that more raised look again? We're going to go ahead and use an inter drop shadow to get more of that effect to it. So let's go ahead and click. Maybe this will work or not. Let's see. A bit experimental. New layer. Inner dark 3. Click. Again, white. Good. Multiply. Multiply. And then I'm going to go with effects, and I'm going to go into inner drop shadow. Inner drop shadow. Inner shadow. That's the one I'm looking for. So again, as you can see with the surface, is turn that off so it doesn't apply to the other shapes. And I'm going to turn it and face it 90% downwards, and then I'm going to raise the size of it. Let's see if we can. And then when I raise the distance to it, as you can see, the bottom raises, so it has that great subtle gradient from down to above. And slightly raise the multiply to it. So as you can see now, it's starting to have that sort of deep, dark color and raise to it, which is good. So what's the next step? Since this is a shape that's outward, we're going to need an outer shadow for it. So I'm going to create a new layer. Outer shadow, clunk. Again, multiply. Again, fill it in. This time we're going to do outer glow. As you can see, now it has that very subtle line to it, maybe a slightly bit stronger and a slightly big bit larger so it has more of a shape to it, more of a gradual shadow. Deselect. As you can see now, you're starting to have that sort of raised look. What else could you do to this to make this look a little bit more believable? You're going to go back to this one right here, the speck, and then I'm going to make a selection so I can start working with it. Get a brush, take the brush, take the hardness off the brush. Then again, maybe not. Let me look, because sometimes when it's shaped like this, it's more, yeah, you know what? This time I'm going to use a brush that's sort of in between, not completely blurry, not completely there. About 50% on the hardness. Zoom in. And this time around, let's see, 21. We'll keep the base at 21, but we're actually going to use it quite a bit to multiply that very glossy look. So take the size, reduce that. Like that. Scale it a tiny bit, 34, 20, 21. That. And then if you go and scale it again, you can do the opposite side. So take the size, increase that, but take the opacity and make it a tiny bit, like 11% as a starting point. Maybe if you like also, you can go with your smudge tool and then increase the size of it. Size. Slightly smudge it a bit. And then you're going to give it one more layer for highlights. Select color very similar to it, but again, take the value, take it a little bit closer to white. Fill it in, mask, Control I, Control hold the layer to get your selection. Go to this one, and again, same one, maybe a little bit more harder shadow since the glare is starting to get a little bit more intense. Take the size, take about 20, and I'm going to start around, right? Again, it's a little bit much. It's okay. So what I'm going to do with this one, big brush, take that highlight. Intensify it a tiny bit. As you can see now that you have a little bit of that detail. Let's see if there's anything else, any other information that we can derive from there. It seems to have that little bit of a raised surface. So yeah, maybe we shouldn't have deleted that other layer, but fuck it. We'll go ahead and do it again. So this time, go all the way to the bottom. So it's the very bottom color, new layer, switch it. Call it highlight, Duke. Take your selection, invert it. And then we're going to do highlight from coming from up. So we're going to take some of the lighter value, for example, like that. That's pretty good. Get a brush. Go ahead and make the hardness 100%. Increase the size. Even more than that. Nope. Oop, undo. 7, 59. Let's say 53. Arbitrarily 53. 53 is a little bit too little. Let's say 55. That should do it. Select. You can see the effect. Nice. Bump it up. Bump up the opacity ever so slightly. Decrease the size. Ah, shit. See? Backwards. And then when I select deselect, you can see the effect. See, I don't think I like that last brush stroke. Is a little too much, a little sloppy. So instead, this is just a highlight, so fuck it, I'm just gonna have to line it up. So now we're gonna go ahead and create a new layer for the opposite of that effect, which is gonna be the darkening. The darker value, slightly a bit darker than the other one. See, brush size before worked at 55. Oop. this layer, come above, and then paint that detail. Select, deselect. Then when you zoom out now you have the appearance where it's more extruding, kind of like a bulbous kind of shape for the visor. So that's another way that you can do a detail like that. So I'm going to go ahead and Control Save and call that the end to this one.